many different ways to play a game, and as we're about to show you, they're very different. So there's an upcoming release from the Final Fantasy series, a new spin-off dubbed a text input battle RPG. So you see some classic characters on the right. I think the one that's highlighted is a level 50 Lightning, and this is all text input based rather than with a standard controller of motion and selecting from a drop-down menu of what you're going to do in battle. But they're not the only ones with interesting input. There's also Sega is making a sandbox game with actual sand.
お子様は誰もがクリエイター。形によって絵が変わる砂場で思う存分想像力を発揮できます。投射される映像が砂の形に合わせてインタラクティブに変化します。高く盛り上げると山になり、
Ideru Sunaba, poorly pronounced probably, loosely translated to surprising sand, is a sandbox game involving sand. So you would be able to have a reaction to you playing with this moldable sand.
It's pretty freaking cool.
It is.
Pretty freaking cool. I think that was pretty awesome. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, let's take a look at one more interesting game input. Somebody beat Dark Souls, very difficult game, very high learning curve, with a rock band guitar.
Oh, that's not ultra safe. Are you joking me? Woo! Like, he kills me. Like, flip out.
That's Benjamin Bearsley Gwynn, who took this basically unsurmountable task. Dark Souls is freaking hard, and you're gonna play it with a guitar?
I can't.
So he beat it.
I can't even. I can't even. I don't know.
That would take me a year.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing that he beat an entire game with it.
So these.
How long did it take him to do that? I have to know how long it took him to like master moving around that game, because that's another one of those games where it's hard, but once you know what to do,
I'm gonna tell you how long it took.
Okay.
11.25 hours. 11 hours and 15 minutes.
And he did it live on like a stream. It looked like he did a live stream on that.
He's incredible.
That's pretty.
I have to give him,
amazing.
Credit for that.
He deserves something. Somebody give him something. Yeah.
So we have these three seemingly very different stories: the sandbox game, the Dark Souls rock band guitar game, and the text Final Fantasy, which brings us to the topic of game input. Now, these three stories have all made the news separately, but these are very different and innovative ways of game input, and they are newsworthy, apparently.
Oh yeah.
And it's just. It's interesting to discuss like different ways of playing a game, and are these innovative or are these weird for the sake of being weird? Where do we stand on this?
You know what? People have different ways of interacting with technology and these games, and I think it's always intrigues me, to see people, different ways of interacting with things. For instance, there was a guy who, because I love fighting games, I love the fighting game community, so I pay attention a lot to that. And there was a guy who won the Street Fighter 4 tournament playing with a PlayStation 1 controller.
No.
Yeah, he played it through the whole tournament, whooped everybody with a PlayStation 1 controller. You have these guys sitting there with these big ass giant fight sticks, and this guy's just sitting there with his controller.
This is the modern equivalent of winning a fight with one arm tied behind your back.
Yeah. But to them it's not. To them that's just the way they have, trained themselves to interact with the game. That's how they input their thoughts and their reactions into the game.
Why PlayStation 1 when you have more sophisticated versions of that controller?
It's different strokes for different folks. That's what works for him.
Almost literally.
There was a guy I saw at an MLG tournament playing Mortal Kombat on a computer keyboard, and he wasn't just doing that. He was bodying people. Yeah, he was with the arrow keys and everything. He was bodying people with a computer keyboard. And to us that's just like, what? We're so used to like regular controllers, but to him he's like, this is the way I interact with the game, Input's awesome.
It's crazy. I mean, it's really interesting for us to look at, like, wow, how did you do that? But then you're also saying that's his way. That's the way he's the strongest, or feels he's the strongest at doing it, so why not? Is it wise for video game companies or hardware companies to be building interesting or innovative or at least drastically different ways of game input.
Yeah, definitely. You know, especially, you know, in this day and age of, you know, people who are, you know, disabled and maybe can't, you know, for whatever reason aren't able to play the game. This gives them, you know, an opportunity to do that. You know, I know one of the, you know, great innovations was, you know, the glove. There's been so many different
power glove.
There's been so many different gloves, but like, you know, for a person who only has one arm, that's paramount for them, you know, and once you train yourself to use this thing and it becomes second nature to you, you know, that's just your way of input, and that, you know, it's no longer a handicap like it may seem. So I think it's a great thing to see these different forms of, you know, game input come to light.
Well, we've also talked about motion gaming before, and this being a completely different thing to shake up the industry. Do you think these different ways of playing games can shake up the industry, or is it maybe more novelty at this point?
I mean, it definitely can shake up the industry. You know, there's some games. Motion game, it seemed really gimmicky to me at first, you know, until
I still think it's gimmicky, to be honest.
I mean, some games know how to implement it better than most. You know, Just Dance is becoming a e-sport now. Did you know that? Just Dance is becoming an e-sport now. That is fact. And that's a game that's basically
I did not know that.
Yes, and that game is just motion controls.
Wow.
So there are things. There are different ways of input. They're all over the place, and I'm for all of them. I'm for anything that, you know, any way you can interact with the game. If it makes you happy, I'm all for it.
It's blowing my mind right now.
Yeah.
Because, well, esports, we tend to see the most hardcore of the hardcore, and then we see, like, you know, the Just Dance thing going in.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because there's also that hierarchy of, you know, oh, are you casual? What kind of gamer are you?
Casual?
You know, and it's. To me, I don't like it because I want to be inclusive always.
Yeah.
But maybe some people might not like that.
Well, yeah, you know, in PC Master Race, like mouse keyboard, that's like the oldest form of gaming there ever has been. So that's what people are like used to the most, which is why you hear comments like, you know, the PC players who kind of seem condescending sometimes, the hardcore ones.
I've definitely seen that before.
In
the comment section, a lot.
Yo, Master Race, I have no problem with Master Race, man. Like, I was a PC gamer when I started off. I play more console games now, but I can always go back. Counter-Strike was where it was at when I was little. Yeah. But you should respect and be happy that other people found their own ways to, you know, input, you know, and interact with games. You know, even if it isn't mouse and keyboard, you should be happy seeing other people with that ability.
I like that. Yeah. Well, you know, there's reasons why people might pick console over or PC over console, or even handheld or motion gaming. Yeah. You know, I think you're right. Other people have different ways of preferences when they're playing their games, and they can probably just. Like, it's fine for them to prefer what they prefer. It's okay.
Yeah, when that pro Halo player who plays his game with sand comes, you know, we should have this discussion again.
There's like a castle.
Yeah. I don't know how that would work, but I'm trying to think, like,
I don't think that would work. But, you know,
but it would be awesome if somebody found a way to do it. He just like molds a gun and gets a triple kill right there. Yeah. Do it, make it happen.
Sure, or he just straight up plays with the Rock Band guitar, which is still blowing my mind that someone's able to do that.
How would a teabag be if you played with sand, I wonder?
You just like...
You just like punch the sand?
I don't know. Tea bags of sand. Well, how was with that, audience? I was going to ask you about gaming input and how you feel, how it changes the game, how it revolutionizes the game, or if you have a preferred way of input for your respective gaming device. Let us know about that below, and also how you would teabag with sand. Let us know that in the comments, and please be sure to subscribe.